Hi guys, this is Top Tier Tiers on lycheepunnet. I'm joined by El Prez as always.
Yo,
And here we've got Tim Tom the Bim Bomb. I don't know what he's being called this time around.
right now it's just Tim Tom.
Tim Tom the Bim Bomb. Sure.
Yeah, he can be whoever he wants. He's allowed to choose his identity. Anyway, we're doing Vivid Strike
I
today.
mean, he
We've
identifies
got
as a
some
bim
we've
bomb.
gotten yeah, we've gotten some feedback. This is probably something that's a long time coming, should have happened earlier. But we're going to cut a lot of the fat from our reviews. We're going to get not review some of the cards that just don't really do anything and you probably won't ever play. This is not to say you should ever completely disregard these cards. Sometimes we're wrong, sometimes I'm wrong more specifically because I'm the one who made the list and made the culls. And in fact, there are a couple cards which are on this list that I've already been informed that people are playing and enjoying. But I still maintain that these cards aren't really conducive to being played in a wider metagame, I suppose. Or even in a more focused one, like the Japanese metagame. Anyway,
Is
we'll be
Vivid
reviewing
Strike
the
like
Vivid Strike
Neo
booster.
Standard with Vivid Dread?
If it were a wider metagame, you'd probably be more likely to see those cards.
It's true, but at the same time, in a more narrow, defined metagame, these cards may be more viable in those metagames.
Is Vivid Strike Neo Standard with?
No,
Okay, so this is a
it is not.
standalone set.
This
It
is
is
a
not
standalone set.
Nantuka. It is not Neo Stand with Nantuka Strikers, and it's not Neo Stand with anything with Nantuka in the name. Nantuka being Nanoha. This is a standalone set. It was pretty much custom built. There are three really obvious decks that you can build. I think that somewhere in between is where you're going to have to end up settling, but yeah, we should really get started because a lot of the cards go into multiple sets. We're starting on green because reasons, and it just so happens this is a 3-color booster without any yellow in it. So yeah, so the first card, I should probably turn the YouTube video off. The first card here is Fuka, Feeling of Freedom in the Summer. She's a 0015. During your turn gets 1k because there's no yellow in this set, so they had to put the yellow effect somewhere. And then it has a Ricky effect. Pay 1, clock yourself. When it's placed from hand to stage, you may do that. If you do, search your deck for a level 1 or lower, add it to hand, and shuffle your deck.
Ricky with upside, good.
Yeah.
Good card.
A lot of people are moving away from Rickies for whatever reason in some builds of various decks. I completely disagree.
I don't know. Every
Like-
time I play Star Wars and I'm just like doing Ricky chains, I'm just wondering, man, I have so much hand all the time.
Yeah, Rickies are good. I don't know about
Oh,
Shade Rickies.
This is the first set you've ever had that has Ricky, right?
This is the first time I've played with Ricky. I still don't own a set that plays with Vakatsuki besides Animal. So, like, these are new things to me. Like, every time I get to play with them.
Yeah.
And, like, don't get me
Modern-
wrong, I adored playing Akatsuki's just for the sake of being able to refresh at, like, level 0, but I never got to play with Ricky
We've set
before.
reviews for how long now? It's been nearly 3 years, right?
Yeah, like 3 years.
Seems good.
Yo,
Nah.
this is my life. I have, like, rarely, if ever, played a top tier set. And the only time I did, at the time the set was considered top tier, I was playing yellow-green Nisekoi.
Nice.
Played to Lover, didn't you?
Oh, I guess, yeah, I did. I, like,
That's
barely
still-
played that deck, though, because I just disliked playing it. It was not a lot of fun. I preferred playing Animal, but that's for different reasons.
Look, we've kind of gotten off the path, but
That's
this
because
card's
Rickies
great.
are boring.
You're not wrong. They get you exactly what you want. There are multiple level 1 combos in this set you want. There's level 1 bomb you might want to be able to toolbox out. There's a few hand ditch outlets that you want to be able to get. But in the mono green deck, the most common thing you'll be getting is the 1-0 Ironheart, which we'll be talking about very soon. And depending on what other cards you're running, you'll probably just get your level 1 of choice. And this card sets you up.
These are two new traits, right?
I think
I
Fighter
don't
is
think-
Fighter new? I think it's not.
I can't
new.
recall any sets with Fighter, or...
I feel like it'd be
How
in
are you?
Strikers, but that's just...
But I think I do think Haoryu is a new trait.
Alright. Let's add it to the Ash counter.
Because yeah, there just hasn't been that Gundam build try fighters.
Wait, does King of Fighters not have that trait?
No.
What? However,
No, melee.
I
or
definitely can't think of
fighter
a single
and-
card in
as
King
you
of
will.
Fighters that has melee.
it's fighter or fighting or whatever. Melee is whatever.
I don't think there's
Anyway.
anything with fighting either.
Yeah, no, this card is good. We should just I should probably put a disclaimer here. The bad rating in our system is going to get a lot less use because we've just cut out a lot of the bad cards that we just spent useless amounts of time on.
The amount of time we spent on bad cards varied considerably.
Yeah, yeah. But now it is hopefully close to 0. This card is good. You should play at least 3 in every single deck. If you ever go below 4, you need a very good reason to do so. Usually, yeah, there are reasons to do less than 4. Usually because you have other advantage engines or because you're a bad player. Either way. Anyway, next card, Ironheart, under 15 champion. It's a 1/0/4/5. When this is placed from hand to stage, gains 1/5 for the turn. And when the battle opponent of this is reversed, if you have, I'm pretty sure that's a bar. It has to be a bar.
It is
right?
a bar. It is a bar.
If her bar is in the climax zone, search your deck for a melee character, which is almost everything in this booster, and add it to your hand. So
I'm
this
quickly
is
learning that 7k power isn't necessarily enough without back row using the Darth Vaders in Star Wars anymore.
Well, good thing to say that
I mean,
it will
yeah.
be bigger than
It'll
7K.
be getting bigger,
usually.
but like these are always fine. Like even Star Wars, it doesn't get big, it's still fine. Although
I mean, if a deck can tri-field at level 0, utilizing the advantage from a Ricky, you naturally get better targets over games. Because it's less likely that your opponent will be able to field cards that will not be reversed by this card.
I mean, even like you can always maneuver the game into a position where like you can get easy reverses anyways, unless you're playing against like Index.
But it's fine with this deck, especially because there's a runner in this set.
Yeah.
This card is more than fine. I know that a lot of Japanese builds are skewing this for just a field-based build, primarily to try and I assume they're trying to combat Got some more, but I don't know at this point.
Level plus.
Yeah, it's a perfectly serviceable card. You've got a 0/0 support, which we're going to come to soon, which gives you an obscene amount of power. You'll have no trouble reversing most field-based decks with this, and there are a couple other power-based cards. So yeah, it's pretty solid card. Playable plus is about right. You don't have to depend on this because there are advantage engines, but this is certainly a good card that'll get you ahead in the game. Alright, Piercing Strike, Fuka. This is the Boogeyman. This is the first card spoiled from the set, and it was a very, very strong card then. It's a very strong card now. It's a 3/2/9k. If you have 4 more other melee traits, so if you have almost a full field butt for this, it's an advanced summon. For every marker under this, it gains 1/5 power, and when it attacks, you may look at the top card of your deck. If you look, so either you look or you don't look. If you look, then put this underneath as a marker. If you don't look, you don't get the marker. And then you've also got Climax combo. When this attacks, if you have the other bar in the Climax zone, you may pay 2 and put all markers under this to the waiting room. If you do, perform this action X times, deal 1 damage to your opponent, where X is the number of markers you got rid of this way.
So this card is hilarious. You just like really hope you're not playing against a deck with like wins, I guess.
Well, like, there are
actually, it's not really wins.
I mean, like, the issue is like you definitely want to you need
to
to
wait until you see the other cards that go with this card.
It's when this attacks, so you get to do both. But like the big thing is you're basically gonna do pay 2, burn 1 twice. That's what it's doing. The vast majority of the time. If you do it by itself. If you do it by itself.
Usually more. It's usually more.
No, if you do it by itself, like if you don't have any markers, you play this down at level 3, you play the Climax.
And it's a pay 2 burn.
You get to stack the abilities in a way where you get a marker, then you immediately get rid of it to make it a really overcosted burn 1.
Well, it's a pay 2 burn, which is on cost with non-Climax combo burn effects.
Sure, but it's...
But
there's a lot of...
There's other things that are going to be involved, but like, I don't know how often you're trying to early play this. Are you generally trying to early play this still?
What you should
wait until you see the cards that go with this card.
All right, I'm excited.
This is the card you should be trying to early play. This is what this set does that sets it apart from any other set. If you can get this card down on the field at level 2, you can start snowballing to the point where you'll eventually have like one of this with 3 or 4 markers and another one with maybe slightly less. And then as soon as you rip the Climax, you're going to probably kill your opponent.
Yeah.
really like the design of this card. I think that it is a really broken effect, and it is very... There is a lot of counterplay to it, and that's what I like about it. Cards like I disliked Marika because even if you had counterplay to her, she was still an on-attack burn. I dislike Yami because she's an absurdly consistent, you can't do anything about it card. This card you can do plenty about. There's a lot you can do to combat this card, but at the same time, your opponent is punished for playing badly around this card. Like, if they don't try to answer this whatsoever, they will get punished, and that's really good. This is a well-designed endgame card for that reason. There are answers. You can build your deck to include those answers, and if you don't include those answers, you can quite feasibly be punished, because there is a lot of support for this card. That being said, this card can get a little awkward. If you really want to get to the optimal game state, I'm pretty sure you have to play 2, and at that point you are probably not going to have very much hand if your back row is what you want it to be. And it's a bit all-in, which I guess is another good aspect of this card's design. If you want to get the max value out of this at level 2, you're going to be going, like, not quite all-in, but you'll be pushing a lot of chips to the fore of the table. And that's... I like that. I like that this is forcing you to take a risk. And anyone who's complaining about this card is not trying hard enough to beat it, or you're playing a set that just doesn't have a way to get around this easily. Like, even Persona 5, which doesn't have any anti-change bombs, doesn't have a good anti-change counter, doesn't have anything except triggering wins and like a bad level 2 and level 3 combo, even that set can answer it without modifying the build significantly. So if you're not able to deal with this card, that's probably your fault. You should be trying harder. And this card is good enough that you should be thinking about it if it is in your local meta. I actually like this card a lot. I think it is a good meta card. I'm not going to give it good plus because it can be answered, but at the same time, I admire that it can be answered. This is actually good design, in my opinion.
If you can reliably get that many counters underneath this as you claim you can, then I am going to agree with good. I do think I think a huge portion of the power hinges on being able to early play it. Regardless,
it's also just
you haven't seen the cards that go with this card.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, this card does have some inherent risk against like wind decks, because if you play it and then it immediately gets winded, you've paid 2 to do effectively nothing. So that's another good aspect of this card. It doesn't randomly have an extra heal or whatever on top of it. And yeah, just trust Tom when he says this is an easy card to, like, if your opponent plays into it really badly, you're going to be burning them a lot. Just a lot. Okay. Now, as the only person who owns this deck, Tom, what do you rate this card?
I think I would agree with good meta.
Yeah, it's not like broken.
But it's hard. I think it's more meta than it is like good, if that makes sense. I think a lot of its strength depends. It hinges on the people in your meta not being able to answer it. Because if it's answered, then the deck quickly becomes just kind of slightly better Modica.
I think this deck is... Okay, I'll say it right now. I have not watched the series or whatever, so I'm probably a little biased. I do not think that Vivid Strike is a broken set, as some people claim. I think it lacks a few things, despite the fact it has Ricky and Runner. And because of that, I think you need something as powerful as this to make you play the deck. And that's why I'm giving this the meta rating, because it is an insane card if it goes off.
Well, I mean, if it's the reason to play the deck, that meets our meta rating condition.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that is exactly what it means. All right, so let's move on to the next card. So I haven't excluded any of the rares because I went through them all, and they all have some role to play, even if it's just teaching you that you should really be prioritizing good staple archetypes over random cards. I think that one of those random cards is this Ironheart. In any other set, this would be a really good card. Let's talk about what it does first. It's a clock bomb, so when it's reversed, if the opponent's level 0, you may heal them for 1 and then put this card in the clock. And then when this attacks, if you have 1 or fewer other character, you may mill 1. If it's level 0 or lower, put that card in the back row in any slot.
Is there really a deck that would want this card? Like a good deck?
I mean, when I saw this card in Rinne or Inuyasha or whatever you want to call it, I thought it was very strong. I still think it's very strong. I just don't think that a deck which has a Riki, a Runner, a 4 of Support, and a 4 of Brainstorm wants this card.
I mean, like, right now, people, it's just like, bomb slots are just not very good. You'd even prefer to extend your ability to plus at level 0 by playing Oversizes over this card, I think. Because this is not a reliable plus.
It's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be a plus, it's a bomb.
Well, that's the thing, like, that's why it doesn't really...
Yeah, like, the big decks that, so, I guess history lesson. People used to play 3/5s all the time. That's why the mentality of it's fine, it's a bomb is still around. Because you can still randomly kill your opponent's 3/5s with the bombs.
Yeah,
and they're random utility cards.
People have almost completely shifted away from 3/5s back to just playing more utility slots for random pluses.
I think people still run 3/5s. It's just that they're not the main plan. Like,
well, I mean,
I'm planning on opening into something like a runner rather than oversized. And the oversized
I'm running 3/5s in Star Wars. I'm actually playing the C-3PO that mills 2 just because I needed more beater slots. But
I mean,
well, yeah, it's just
Star
like
Wars, I'm playing 4 runner, so I don't think I need more beaters. But
are you playing 4 runner in the blue? Well, I'm talking about the blue deck because I just like playing lightsaber.
I only run mono yellow, man.
I mean, in mono yellow, yes, I'm playing 4 runners because mono yellow is hilarious, and also that Han Solo is like way more broken than I thought it was.
Which one?
The level 1 combo that just like draws you your entire deck over and over and over.
It's good shit. Anyway, Star Wars aside, this card is not very well suited to the meta right now. The only oversizes people play also get levels in some way. So either they are the Gochiusa 3/5, which might also have support behind it, or they are the Persona 3/5 or 4K, which also have levels. Like, if you're playing a 3/5 or 4K, it's probably because your set does not have a better option, or because you really want a plussing option at level 0 and have exhausted the options. So an example would be like Fate Masters. They have no choice but to play 3/5s or 4Ks for their plussing thing. Although
they don't.
People don't play the Clock Encore enough, and you know it.
What? Yeah, but they literally have the best plussing card in level 0 in the game.
Yeah, but they don't play it enough, which is really sad. PSA aside, this card does not kill enough. Like, it will kill random Azuses or whatever if your opponent has not got their optimal level 0 play, and that's fine. But you don't really want to dedicate a slot in your deck when you have so many other good level 0 cards. Like, even without this card, this deck can quite feasibly run like 22 zeros and have a difficult choice cutting any of them. That's how absurdly stacked this deck's level 0 game can be. Or rather, it's how stacked it has to be to maximize the Fuku we just talked about. And for that reason, I'm not sure that this Clock Bomb has a slot in the deck. I have not seen a deck that runs this Clock Bomb, aside from like the UUT decks that they try to sell you for a quote-unquote cheap price. But
well, you need to move those Clock Bombs somehow, right?
Pretty much. This card is still a playable in my book, but it is not very good right now. Maybe if bombs become better positioned, then this can make a comeback. But as it stands, if the bombs doesn't stop your opponent from running and doesn't get around level 1, level 0s that get an extra level, they're not a good card right now.
I mean, especially, well, I think it's even less well positioned in this deck, mainly because this deck can get power on offense at level 0, and thereby just kill stuff anyways. Like,
yeah,
the roll of a card that trades 1 for 1 and leaves it like, I think you'd rather just run over something with a runner or something, and then
isn't this set tiny.
Well, you have a 1500 pump. You have a Riki that's 25. You can pump that. Like,
you can pump the Riki, sure, but that's turn 2 play, and the runner is like a 500 or 1k power runner.
It's a 1k power.
Sure, it's 1k. That's minuscule. That's not going to get oversized. Anyway, yeah, if you wanted to get rid of your opponent's oversizes, the point is you could run something else in this set. Like, there is a freaking level 0 5k in this set that I've specifically chosen to omit because that card is stupid. And
now I have to talk about that card, right?
No, it's already been deleted.
Yeah, it's been deleted from the set. Anyway, this card is playable. You can try to play it if you think that it's going to suit your local meta. I don't think you play this against the blind meta. It just doesn't seem
I mean, if your meta is like all still con type for whatever reason, then go for it.
The con type runs the runner now, I'm pretty sure.
Does it not run?
Oh well,
Hibiki.
I mean, it's on the ban list now, and most people run Z3 choice, so Hibiki's not even a thing.
Oh, rip. That's unfortunate.
Well, that's a meta thing.
Yeah.
Obviously.
All right.
So.
Well, we're moving
The next
on.
card, I've left this card in because it's interesting, and I think that it might be the
That
play
bag is
in
not
some
that large.
builds. I was recently told that with Google Translate, if you go on UUT and look at this card, it reads large back hooker, and it's the only Fuka card that's been mistranslated as hooker. So take that as you will. Fuka, large back, 0015. Trust me when I say this is supposed to be an oversize. For each marker under this, it gains 1 level and 1/5. When this attacks, if you have 2 or more other melee characters, it gains 2k for the turn. So it's 3/5 on offense, even without a marker. And when this kills something, you may look at the top card of your deck. If you do, put it under this as a marker. So I'm not going to say this anymore, but every time this comes up, if you look at the top card of your deck, you have to put it under as a marker. If you don't look at the top, you don't put it under as a marker. So it's just giving you the information. That's all it is. This card is interesting. I don't think this card is good. I understand that this is a good hedge against Gochiusa specifically, because they don't play the runner, because I don't know why. Well, I know why, but it's not a good reason. If you killed their 3/5 with this, and, well, there's a card in a couple cards' time, you'll see why we keep talking about on-turn power. Just trust me when I say this can kill Gochiusa's 3/5. If you kill that, then sure. You are now, what? A 3k on defense. So if they have another one, this one just kills it back.
Which is not great.
Yeah, not good. This also doesn't kill runners, for obvious reasons. If you cannot kill something, this is just a 1/5 with no other text. And as such, I do not think this is a good card unless your opponent is specifically running cards that fold to this. Like, the fact that it isn't even big enough to withstand a normal 3/5 on defense is a problem. Now, there are ways to get around this, and in fact, the card I just mentioned, the card I'm alluding to, will actually save your Fuka and make it even bigger, and then this snowballs into level 1 or whatever. But this doesn't scale well into level 1 either. Like, even, let's consider it as 3 markers. Even then, it's only 6k. 6k is not a good enough baseline to stop any on-reverse combos from your opponent. And yeah, okay, if you have multiple of the back row Einhardt, sure. This starts getting bigger and bigger, and suddenly you're playing Marker Arsenal again, except this time you know that you've marked 2 climaxes. It's not just a vague suspicion. This card is like...
You take those.
It seems like it could be good, and in fact, it can be good. Like, I've played Devil Survivor 2. I know what the power of blind compression is like. I don't think this card is nearly consistent enough to be a reasonable play at most points in the game. And though I see a lot of Japanese lists, week 1 lists, mind you, week 1 lists, I'm not going to say they're going to... I haven't seen any lists since then that play this, but I also haven't seen very many heavy green lists, so take that as you will. I don't think this has a place in the heavy green deck because, A, we have a runner, that's a more consistent plus, and that doesn't rely on you having another specific back row at level 0 for this to even have a chance of being good. And 2, this card just has a chance to do absolutely nothing, and I don't like that in my cards. I'm not going to call it bad or anything. In fact, this is probably very fine in the... Like, if you're playing the mono Hao Ryu deck, there's a really mediocre level 3 that you can try and leverage, then this might be playable. Who knows? But for now, I'm giving it a niche rating.
I think niche is appropriate.
Yeah. That's just those are my thoughts on this card. I haven't thought about it a lot, but it's a card that doesn't jump out to me as something I really want in my deck.
There's some mediocre support for it, but yeah, not enough
mediocre
payoff
is for... You're running the mediocre support anyway, aren't you?
No, I'm talking about the event counter.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but it's like it's not enough of a payoff to run all that stuff. I agree.
All right.
Yep.
So next card, Einhard and Fuka bathing together. So this is 0/0 Brainstorm. It's got a pay 1 tap this climax combo. So it's it's one of those brainstorms which fences you into having 2 specific climaxes, which are both bars. So yes, Bushy Road is pushing an 8-bar deck. For each bar that you reveal this
every time
way,
you bar a bar, you're gonna just die a little inside. Just
no, well,
not really. You'll be fine.
It's whatever.
Trust me, you will be fine. For each of the bars you reveal, you search for a melee character, then you give a character 1k. So that's something we haven't seen before. And this is per bar, by the way. So you hit 2 bars, you give 2k total, split 2 times. Or split between 2 characters, rather, if you want, up to 2 characters. And then this also has a very welcome ability. When you trigger a bar, if it has a bar, well, when you trigger a climax, if it has a bar icon, you may pay the cost. If so, choose a card in your clock, add it to your hand, then clock the top card of your deck. So this is good in a number of ways. The first one is triggers aren't something you can interrupt. So once you trigger a bar, you finish resolving that. So you take the bar to hand, you put the top card of your deck to stock if you wish, and then you may pay the pending cost here, which is discard a card, aka discard that bar if you have too many bars in your hand, for a clock fix, which is good.
I mean, it functionally acts as if you want it. Whenever you trigger a bar, you may pay 1, ditch a card.
No, you don't pay 1.
No, I mean, it's like functional. If you choose not to blind stock off of your bar,
why would you? Well,
it's like paying 1 if you just don't want to risk it.
But you should risk it in the vast majority.
That doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just
pretty
saying
specific scenario where you wouldn't stop.
You can. This is a thing you can do. But I mean, yeah,
Sure.
most of the time you're just ditching the bar if you don't need it, and then anything else if you do.
You know, I was memeing about this card, like, so this wasn't the first brainstorm revealed. In spoilers, I was memeing about a card with these abilities, like a tap. Like I was like, let's get a search brainstorm that has the LE Gold Bar support effect, which is the discard effect.
Sure.
Then this card got revealed next week.
Your memes stopped being dreams.
And it was even better.
Yeah, this card
is
just
even better.
That's that exact profile. Now, this card is a fixture in the 8-bar deck. Duh, who would have possibly thought? And the 8-bar deck is competent, so this is a fixture in a competent deck.
Woo!
There is something that might be overlooked by a lot of people. Not only does this mill with Brainstorm, but if you trigger a bar with this, then it's kind of like you're milling 3 cards. So well, 2 cards rather. You trigger the bar, you stop the top card of your deck, and then you get an extra card from deck to clock. And the mono green deck is a deck that sorely lacks milling. That's one of the big weaknesses of this that sets it off from being like a very good modern era deck. Like, milling is something that every deck wants in some amounts. And if it's costless, that's even better. And this is costed once a turn, that's fine. It's like somewhat below average, and this helps mitigate that, so yeah.
I mean, it is a restless brainstorm, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have multiple for whatever reason, you can turbo fix your hand, I guess.
And give so much power to your characters.
Yeah, I think this is a good card. It's obviously built to order for this deck, and that's fine. Like, those cards tend to be generally pretty good.
Yeah, I think
and
this card is
generally good.
I think this card is pretty good.
It makes the 8-bar deck playable. Like, without this, the 8-bar deck is a joke.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I would be inclined to agree.
It's also a plussing brainstorm, so it's a good rating for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a plussing brainstorm with additional upside, so... Like, a lot of additional upside.
More or less.
For minimal deck building restriction.
Just good.
Here's another made-to-order card.
Yeah.
Alright, so Einhard, basic form, 0015. Rest this, give a melee character 1/5 for the turn. So, yeah.
You always start with the least exciting abilities.
What? That's how you're supposed to do it.
I think that is actually probably the better ability overall, because once you know about both abilities, you can play around the second one. That being said, the second ability is it's something good enough that you have to play around it. When a Fuka character with a marker under it becomes reversed in battle, if this is in the back row, you may pay 1, put this face down under that character as a marker. If you do, rest that character.
I mean, I play bottom deck anti-level bombs, so...
Yeah, that's the thing.
Oh yeah, because you're privileged.
I mean, I play blue Star Wars, so how privileged can I be?
So, what we were alluding to earlier when we said that it would be very hard to kill with a 3/2 Fuka, and the 0/0 Fuka, was this card.
Yeah.
So not only is this a extremely potent card on, like, your turn, but it is obscenely powerful on your opponent's turn, because it's basically a pay 1, save your marked card.
Is this the main back row of choice for that then?
Yes.
So, I'm just like kind of thinking about this. So the first attack is going to be 4, because you probably aren't going to... Well, you might have enough climaxes because you're playing 8 bars, but like, so plus 4k, so 1300 power if you choose to pump it.
That's on the first attack?
Yeah, that's pretty sizable.
I mean, the worry with that isn't that you get countered, it's that you get anti-change countered.
Yeah, and there's not a ton you can do about that at all.
Well, there's a hexproof support. So.
Yeah, but if you're running the hexproof and this, then I guess you just choose to dump your brainstorm.
You can have hexproof support in the front row if that's something you really need. Because you're not going to spend too long at level 2 on the...
I don't know how much you want to like leave your brainstorm in front either, or like dump your brainstorm at any point. So I don't.
I mean, you run 4, so it's not like.
What happens is once you get the Fuka on board, I think a lot of like. I don't know. Your hand sculpting simply just becomes I need playables, and then you can easily afford to get an extra brainstorm in the interim, if that's the case. So pushing up the brainstorm might be an option. It just depends on, you know, what you end up getting in your hand. But for Vivid, I think
aside, this card is insane. Like, this card makes the 3/2 Fuka plan actually viable. Because Fuka is not actually that big after the first turn. She can be killed by most things. But since this exists, it is no longer killed by most things. It has a 1/5 power buff, effectively 3k, since the Fuka will get to attack. And that's pretty obscene, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, like, the random 3k pump, putting it to... Oh, sorry, 13k, it's 9k base. Means that unless they're playing one of the larger early plays, you're almost always cleanly getting over it. There are sets where you do have to be a little bit safe against, of course.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of sets that are just randomly playing like 2-1-3k counters or 2-1-2-5 counters that aren't anti-change bombs, you still have to be careful of. Anti-change bombs, there's hexproof support, I guess. So it's not like you can't, but they're I don't know.
This card is very good. Like,
yeah, this card is perfectly fine.
Yeah. You'll want multiple in the front row eventually. Like, that's just how it would work.
Not in the front.
In the back row. Yeah. You'll want multiple in the back row at some point with the multi-Fuka plan. And that's fine. Again, made to order, and that is perfectly reasonable.
You just gotta be a little bit careful of wins if you're doing double back, I guess.
This also just has support, function as a back row support. Like, it's a 1/5 pump. We all know how good that Kantai one was, and this one is pretty similar.
And there's also an on-reverse climax combo that you can use this with. Yeah.
Exactly. So it goes from being a 7k climax attack to a 8/5, which is significantly bigger. Not actually big enough to be cleanly over most of the, like, any deck that targets Gochu User will also get over a single Einhard pump. But it's still pretty big against, like, everything else, which is good. Yep. Okay, so with that being said, I'm giving it just a flat good rating. I think it's a very solid card, and it's going to be something that really really forces you to think about how you make your deck.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
card.
good is appropriate.
Morning Roadwork. It's a 2/1 5k Fuka. Gives all other melee characters 1k, and up to twice a turn when you play a Hao-Ryu, so the Dragon Fist character from hand to stage, you may look at the top card of your deck and put it either on top or bottom. So this is a Guilty Crown ability. And when your character's trigger check reveals a climax card, if it's a bar, give a character 1k until the end of your opponent's next turn.
The Hexproof supports a 2/1, right?
No, it's a 0/0.
It's a 0/0?
0/0 to center.
Center slot? Okay. I'm generally unimpressed. I was unimpressed with the Gilded Crown version. I'm still unimpressed by this, and the Gilded Crown version didn't have the extra trigger check.
Gilded Crown version is cool though, because you can play the runner and then
it's cool because you get to proc it like 8 different ways, so you're stacking way more scries. It's just that my experience has been it doesn't matter how much you actually stack your deck, because not always do things go according to plan, especially in Weiss.
You're stacking your deck at like the main phase as opposed to at the end of your turn, which is a big difference when it comes to what really matters, which is canceling.
Exactly. So it's weird. I'm again not generally a huge fan of this kind of effect. I find that it's a lot less impressive than it seems.
I mean, we just talked about all the back row that this set has, like a Brainstorm, the 0/0 Ironheart, and like the Hexproof support. This card doesn't really have a role, despite being made to order. It doesn't seem like it's worth the 1 stock.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. Yeah. It's like a niche playable. It's not a bad card. It certainly can be played. I just don't think it does nearly enough to actually affect the game, which is what you're really looking for when you pay cost for a support.
Yeah.
Alright, next card. Einhart, Dignified Ring Entrance, 3/9k. For each of your other Dragon Fist characters, this gains 500 power. Dragon Fist? Flowing Fist? I don't care what it is anymore. When this is placed from hand to stage, look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck, add 1 to hand, and ditch the rest. And when the battle opponent is reversed, you may ditch 2 character cards from your hand. If you do, clock kick your battle opponent. Right, so this is a dual turn clock kick. It works on both turns, which makes it pretty threatening. It's also 11k and a cantrip. This is a perfectly reasonable card to just splash in pretty much any deck. But it's obviously better in the How Are You deck because I'm just gonna call it How Are You, the How Are You deck.
I'm fine.
Good to know, because it's 11k there plus or minus however big it is plus the Ironheart support. Yeah, so this is like an 11k clock kick in that deck. It's a 9k cantripping clock kick in every other deck on defense. And that's fine. I think this is a perfectly reasonable card. Goes well in the How Are You deck, and goes well in more or less any other deck that wants to splash the 3/2 Fuka anyway. I think it's a solid playable plus.
Yeah, I think it's fairly solid.
Nice way to get bars if you don't have it in hand.
Yes, you can get your gold bar if you don't have it somehow, which is always a plus.
And if you have lots of gold bars.
Yeah. If you have lots of gold bars, you can't actually ditch them because this requires you to ditch character cards.
You get sad. Well, I guess you can, if you had lots of gold bars, you could always just, like, pitch it to your Brainstorm and then, like, get characters to do it that way. So, like...
Well, you have to trigger a gold bar in order for your Brainstorm to proc.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, your level 1 combo is a search combo, so... You're probably,
yeah, I mean, it can happen.
You're probably more likely to trigger a gold bar than, like, draw 1.
Very slightly more likely, yes. That is not insignificant. Anyway, I'm happy with Playable Plus. Anyone got any arguments, disagreements?
No.
Alright, let's move on. Master and Pupil of How Are You, Einhart and Fuka. It's a 3/2/10k. So this is a 3/2/10k with 1 ability, which...
Bad sign.
It's historically never been like broken unless it's literally like Reinhardt. But even Reinhardt had 2 abilities. So
does it?
Yes,
Wait.
it has Bodyguard as a native.
Wait. No, I was thinking of something else, but never mind. Keep going.
So it's a 3/2 10k green. When this is placed from hand to stage, put the top 3 cards of your deck in the waiting room.
Oh god.
So, yeah.
Oh baby!
I just started reading the rest of the effect and was like, oh god.
If there's at least one How Are You a character or green event among them, it gains 1/5 until the end of your opponent's next turn. If there are at least 2, heal 1. If there are at least 3, deal 1 damage.
Amazing.
So again, this is still only on only when it's played. It's not on attack or anything.
Yeah,
so
this
once
card
it's
is
been
bad.
played, it is a vanilla 10k. It's not bad, it's niche because it isn't like coming into play and dealing 1 damage sometimes isn't terrible. Coming to play dealing healing 1 sometimes also isn't terrible, and coming to play and being 11/5 till the end of your opponent's next turn.
I feel like we
is
need a
also,
terror
like-
to espouse on like Yosuke some more.
You know, I had Junez before he did. Right?
I know, but he's more committed to that life than you were.
That is true. He does have it maxed.
So I feel like he is more qualified to discuss the
But
wonders
see,
that is playing.
I've also played Nisekoi Sweets.
That was a mistake.
And I'm proud to report that in all my it's not like I've ignored this deck or anything. In all my years playing this stat deck, I have gotten the clock kick ability twice, and one of those times it didn't matter because they died on the swing anyway. This is slightly better. This allows you to play events as well, but it's still only 1 damage. And it's like fine, but I wouldn't go out of my way to play it or anything. It's not worth making the How Are You deck unless you really like these 2 characters, in my opinion. Anyway,
I don't know if you'd play this in that deck anyways.
if you make that deck, it's to play this card. That's just
That
true,
is
right?
so sad.
I do agree. I do agree.
I guess it's
alright.
niche. Is it niche
I
then?
don't know. I would still. I can't. Like the best I can give it is niche minus.
You know,
because
man, the deck even has a healer too. It's like
yeah, it has a healer and like I don't know. Assuming you have good compression, like 6 and like 18, right? So like 1 in every 3 cards is a climax. Well, that's the math. It's right there.
well, it doesn't actually affect canceling.
It doesn't. In fact, you're more likely to not do anything sometimes than
No,
like
it just
always hit
doesn't.
something. Like
It doesn't affect anything.
it's not
It's
about
like-
affecting the canceling. It's about how often you're getting the effect. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean, you just said.
No, it doesn't
That-
affect canceling. But
The misses are
if you find, like,
climaxes.
we've been over this in that, like, how long ago was it? The Nisekoi Extra Booster. I vividly remember talking about this. If you play like a normal compression game, like a good player, and want, like, you get your stock, you get hand, you get field, whatever, this card becomes worse the better you play. And the luckier you are in regards to compression, the worse this card is.
On the other hand, every gold bar you trigger increases the odds that this does something.
Slightly. Well, that's only because you're taking a climax out of your deck. But the thing is,
the plus note is also that like it also hits on events, which is something that the Nisekoi one doesn't.
well, yeah, I did mention that. But basically, if the better you play, the worse this card becomes. And even if you play badly to try and optimize this, the effect isn't even that good. And that's my problem with Haru. That's my problem with Yosuke, even though Yosuke is in a deck that likes to spend all of its stock. And that is what my problem will be with Einhard and Fuka. So like I said, niche, because it is still a playable card in that deck. It is not a terrible card. It is still a heal most of the time. It's just not good.
I'm of the stance that you're probably better off in just maxing on the other 3 2s in the green deck than this, which means at that point you might as well just not.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so let's just move on. Fuka, always in a bad mood. 0015. When this is placed from hand to stage, give a character 1/5 for the turn, so it's more pump if you need it, although I think there's actually a better 0/0 you'd rather have to do this. And at the start of your climax phase, if you have no other characters, so this does happen turn 1 if that's what you want, discard a card, put this in the waiting room. You may choose a level 1 or lower character in your waiting room with Fuka in its name and put it in this card's slot.
So this is just supposed to get, like, the level 1 marker card?
This is not very good.
There are a couple cards you can get. So there is a 1/1. Well, the two cards that you want to get are called Fuka confronting Rinne and Rinne confronting Fuka. So the Fuka is quite literally Marker Arsenal, except it's a 1/1/6K instead of being a 1/0/4/5. And Rinne confronting Fuka is a 1/1/8K zombie.
Wow, those are both bad.
Yeah, they're not great targets, are they?
No.
Anyway, this is an effect that we saw in Project Eva F2. That set had a 1/1/7K clock on core to change into, which is pretty good. Like, that's not a bad card to have on turn 1. The problem is the probabilities of you having both the 1/1 and 0/0 in hand, including your discard to clock and whatever, is not high enough to justify the reward. You don't stay at level 0 long enough for that to be a good thing. Your opponent's probably not going to let you farm and get multiple markers on the 1/1 Fuka, although it should be noted the 1/1 Fuka, when reversed, can still get it can get the Ironheart marker as well, and there is an event to save that Fuka. But the point is, this is not a good card. You have a heap of good level 0s. And
this also makes your mulligans worse.
Yes, because you have to like keep this card and not keep like your other level 1 plan if you have one. You might have to get rid of like, in order to try and maximize this card, you're going to be making bad mulligan decisions if you have any other level 1 plan at all, which is a problem. Because this is not like a broken level 1. This is not a broken turn 1 even. This is like a fine turn 1. It's not even better than getting a runner because you're set back on cards, despite the fact you have a 1/1 that won't die for a while.
Yeah. This has to survive 2 turns to make the same amount of cards that a runner would have made you on turn 1.
I'm not going to talk about like random win triggers or whatever. That happens, but that's just not relevant here. This card, even without random bad luck, is not good enough to warrant the heavy slot commitment that you would want for this card. Now, the one deck I would support having this in is the Rinne deck, which wants to play the 1/1 zombie. Because this card just does randomly turn to that 1/1 zombie. That's already your level 1 game plan, and it's not even a terrible game plan by itself. Like, the 1/1 Marker Fuka is not a good game plan in my opinion. The 1/1 Rinne is significantly bigger to begin with. Your opponent can't get rid of it easily, and it does have support to make it a competent attacker. The Fuka is far less good if you want to maximize anything. The other problem I have with this card is that eventually you're going to want multiple 3/2 Fukas on field in the deck. So if you're trying to maximize the 1/1 Marker Fuka thing, the 1/1, you're probably not going to be doing. You're diluting your stronger game. That's what I'm trying to get at, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think this is a trap card, mostly. It does have a useful secondary ability, and that means that it's not terrible. Like, it's not completely garbage after turn 0 or whatever.
I would not play it for that change effect.
Yes. This is still, in the worst case, like a Pucci Mikan with slightly less power. But that's not really good enough when we have other quote-unquote Pucci Mikan profiles with other abilities. Anyway. I think this is a niche, probably niche minus card. I don't like this card at all. I could see it doing some work, but not in any consistent fashion.
I'm going to agree with niche minus.
Does it put you in a bad mood?
No, not really. I'm not playing Vivid Strike. How about you? Are you in a bad mood?
I get mad when I see this in people's lists, yes.
That's about right for you. Alright, let's move on. Next card. Fuka, feeling improved, 1/0/5K. When this is placed from hand to stage, gains X power, where X is 500 times the number of your melee characters. Thoroughly boring. Um, you could certainly consider playing this as like a random 9k beater with Ironheart, and that does cleanly get over a lot of the wall decks nowadays. But unless you have specifically that reason, oh sorry, not 9k, it'll be 10k with a climax. Unless that is your specific reason to play this, I don't think you play this at all. You've got 6/5s on defense, and a 2k counter, and that's your own war plan, which isn't bad. I don't know. I haven't been able to get this into the list because I don't think it's very good.
It might make it into the deck, like you said.
Right.
Never know.
Okay, next card. Fuka, Unwinding with Refreshments. If you have nothing but How Are You characters, this is a 6/5 level 1 and 6/5 level 2. And when this is reversed in battle, you cannot use any sort of encore for the turn. That's about it.
Oh, I definitely put the wrong translation up. This is the right translation.
This is one of the many costless level 1 filler beaters in the set.
Yeah, this one's fine. Like level 2, 65 is like a lot of what basically IMAS does, kind of.
IMAS? I wouldn't compare it to IMAS. I think like ReZero has this specifically.
Yeah, ReZero. Think of.
Yeah.
This isn't terrible. It's just something I'd think about playing because it doesn't really have much utility otherwise.
Yeah, but some people like having this kind of card.
Sure, it's there if they want it. Playable.
Yep. So we're skipping the...
I think we're skipping the next one. It's a 1/1.
We're skipping to 17.
I think we're skipping the next... Yeah, we're skipping the next 3 cards.
Okay, so the cards we're skipping are a 1/1/7/5 hand encore, and then a 2/2/1s that are cute, but you probably will never play in a deck. You can look them up if you really want. Fuka, Senpai's Teaching. It's a 2/1/6/5. It's got a climax combo, but I really don't think that's the important thing here. Climax combo, when this attacks, if Precious Childhood Friend is in the climax zone, I think it's the Stock Soul. I'm not sure.
I think it is the Stock Soul, yeah.
Regardless, you're probably not playing it. Put up to 1 card from the top of your deck in stock. Give another character on reverse. So specifically, give another character on reverse. Search for a melee character added to hand. It is notably a costless.
It's a split 2K one.
Yeah, I thought that makes more sense. They wouldn't put Stock Soul. They wouldn't put a Stock Soul effect on a card that stocks. And then I remembered Rewrite has exactly that. But anyway, that's a...
Mm-hmm.
This is a... whatever. It's a level 2 combo on a 2/1/6/5. It's not that interesting. When this reversed, if the level of the battle opponent is higher than the opponent's level, you may give the opponent a heal. If you do, put the battle opponent in clock.
Yeah, it's an anti-level clock bomb. Speaking of ways to permanently deal with the Fuka.
Yes. So if you have a lot of Vivid Strike in your area, you may want to consider not playing the Fuka, because this is a very easy way to tech around that.
It's also a Fuka, so she just punches herself in the clock, I guess.
Yes.
This also gets to join the list of a bunch of 2/1s with climax combos that you don't play, because the other effect is anti-level bomb.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the anti-level bomb bit is very relevant, like more than relevant. What else?
I find that amusing.
Yeah. So this is still like it's like playable plus good minus, somewhere around there, because it's an anti-level clock bomb. It deals with things like Fuka, it deals with ReZero, it deals with, I guess it deals with rabbits, it deals with a whole bunch of good things. Ironically, it also deals with the 1/1 and 0/0 Fukas with markers if they're still left around, because those cards get levels.
Yes.
So yeah.
She just likes punching herself like real hard, apparently.
That seems to be her thing, yes. Alright. So, next card, Einhardt set up. Did I skip this card? I feel like I skipped this card.
You did not. 18, 19, 20, these are all here.
Okay, so I left this card in because I wanted to illustrate exactly how much Japan fears Hanekawa right now.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So, this is a 227k. If you have 2 or more other melee characters, it becomes a 9-5 with Hand Encore. And Climax combo, put the... Oh, what Climax is that? Stock Soul? TO... Yes, put the Stock Soul from your Climax zone into the waiting room. When this attacks, you may pay cost. If you do, put 2 melee characters in your waiting room in stock in any order, and this gains 1/5 till the next end of your opponent's turn.
Hey, look, it's a stock charge combo that combos with a stock soul.
Stop that. But yes. Okay, so this is reminiscent of Hanekawa for obvious reasons.
It has Hand Encore.
It has Hand Encore, and it is slightly bigger when it combos, but it lacks the most important part of Hanekawa. You can't do it 3 times in one turn. You can only do it once, because once one Hanekawa has attacked, or the climax is gone, so you can no longer pay the cost. They were really scared of this happening. I don't really understand why, but whatever. It's a 2/0 2 soul beater, and you can only have 1 of it on the field before it starts costing you a heap of stock. It's whatever.
It is on a stock soul, though.
Yeah, it is.
And
okay.
I don't know. I think the most unfortunate part about it being a stock soul is that you want to attack with this last every time so that you can still benefit from the soul pump.
No, the soul pump is an auto ability.
I thought it was
the soul is given. No, it's an auto ability.
No, soul pump is auto. It's not continuous because it's a stock soul. Everything will have gotten the soul, so you can get rid of the climax. Once the climax has been played, it no longer does anything.
I actually thought stock souls were cont.
No, they are.
No.
There's a discrete action you take, which is put a card into stock. So once that action has been taken, yeah.
Alright, never mind. Then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, not really that important. All it does is enable this exact combo. So, to that end,
you could theoretically refresh on the climax that you couldn't have normally.
I guess theoretically, but yeah, this is a. I only left this in because I don't think this is a card that would be even remotely playable if it weren't for Japan's utter horror at Hanekawa. I'm sure someone's tried to make it work. I'm going to take a stance and call this a bad card. I don't think this is even remotely playable when you have a powerful level 3 like Fuka that you could be playing instead.
Yeah, you have a good early play. Even if this is functionally costless, it's costless on a gold bar, which means it locks you out of your
stock soul.
Or whatever. Not a gold bar is what I meant to say, which locks you out of your good level 3 play in this color. Yeah, that seems awkward.
Or locks you out of your level 1 combo, yeah.
Which is also bad.
Yeah.
It also locks you out of the brainstorm.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the important thing.
There's a lot of things that you punch yourself in the face for playing this. I'm gonna agree with bad. I think there's too many dis-synergies being put in.
Yeah.
Okay, next. What's the next card? Fabio, distantly related. It is a bond to the 1/0 double R. I left it in because I wanted to make a note that it was bondable. What else?
Okay.
You don't even play this. That's
no, there's no way.
Well, yeah, because you have a Ricky.
Yeah. Well,
and also because you don't actually mill that much through your deck. The deck doesn't actually mill enough to make a bond that much consistent.
It doesn't make a bond, it doesn't make the bond comparable to Ricky ever. And you you can bond back the 1/0, but you probably aren't going to be doing combos multiple times in this particular in the current atmosphere of Weiss. You're not going to get your level 1 combo off multiple times unless it's non-interactive.
No, I think you can get the combo off multiple times. It's just this.
I don't think
isn't. No, it can happen. It definitely can happen. People you just run into scenarios where players have to fix something. They have to play a card that's weak.
I mean, sure, but that's not often enough to justify running a card like this over any level 0 that you could be running instead.
Of course not. I mean, you'd rather just search for another copy of it with some other card, and then the bond isn't worth the slot because other cards do what it does.
Similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with Ricky and not enough self mill. You'd probably just play the Ricky. Ricky's also more flexible, so that's also relevant.
Alright. Next card, Einhard Stratos. Or Stratos, whatever. This is the hexproof that we were talking about. It is a global for How Are You and a global 500 rather, and gives the center front row the ability to be hexproof.
It's fine. I mean, you're only really playing it because of the Fuka, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you play this against sets with anti-change counters and slap Fuka in the center. That's pretty much it. I guess you do it against like Tulagru as well.
For the anti-damage stuff.
Although anti-damage isn't even that good against the Fuka.
It's still an attack that's
still
would have been blocked otherwise. It's probably more relevant against tap counters actually, but
yeah, like also Tulagru, but different half of the deck.
All right. This card is like playable. Probably just playable. I wouldn't play more than one.
No, I would not either.
Next card, Fabia Clozo. When it's placed from hand to stage, look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back in the same order. Information is always good. When this is placed from hand to stage, you may ditch a card from hand. If you do, choose a Huracan in your waiting room and return it to hand. Huracan is a 1/0 event counter that we'll come to soon. It is helpful to keep your Fukas alive, basically. That's all it really does. This card is notable for being a ditch bond, which is something that the deck does not actually have in abundance outside of the exact Brainstorm, which isn't on command, and a top check ditch, which is neither on color nor a desirable play in the mid game. So I think it has a role if you want to play it. I don't think very highly of the Huracan counter, and this card is probably the best part of that package. So take that as you will.
Meh.
Niche.
I haven't tested it. Whatever it's worth.
I have. It's not that great.
Sure. Cool. Okay. So next card, did we skip one?
Nope, not yet.
Really?
I just didn't. I didn't. I deleted 23. Huh, I did.
Good, because 223 was garbage. Einhard, somewhat happy. It's a 004K. I really feel like I would have gotten rid of this, but
yeah, there it is, 22. I'm just stupid.
Yeah, 22
that's right. We're in the right spot.
Sure. It is a 4K that you can play in the How Are You deck. Why did I leave it in? You have a runner in this set.
I don't know. Why did you leave it in? You have a runner? Bad.
Rather than bad, it's just not good. Like we said, it's still vulnerable to bombs. It's the worst of both worlds. I guess it does beat 3/5s. I guess. Well, whatever. Niche. Alright. Fuka discovered Raw Gem. Did we skip a bunch?
Yeah, we skip a bunch.
Yeah, we skip a bunch to 27.
The cards we skip are a 0/0 very mediocre, a 0/0 4K that mills 2, which I probably shouldn't have skipped anyway, and a 1/0 vanilla. And then a How Are You counter? Yeah. So that's not a good card. So anyway, last common. Fuka confronting Rene. Oh, that's lie. Second last common. 1/1 6K for each marker on the disc gains 1 level 1/5, and when the battle opponent is reversed, you may look at the top card of your deck. If you do, put it under this as a marker. Like I said, marker Arsenal, except you know that you've marked 2 climaxes.
Yeah.
It's niche. Like, it goes in that deck. I still don't think that deck is good, but this is a not completely terrible card that may make you want to play that deck. So there you go. All right. Huracan, it's a cat, 1/0. If you don't have a Fuka, then you can't play this from hand. Choose one How Are You character and rest it. Then choose up to one How Are You character in your waiting room and put it face down under either your 0/0 Fuka or your 1/1 Fuka as a marker.
Wrong order, but...
yeah, but that's what it does. So the important part is this rests your 3/2 Fuka in case you somehow don't have an Einhard, which is pretty uncommon, if you ask me.
It doesn't make it not funny to me.
It's very mediocre.
It's pretty easy to play around, too.
Yeah,
I'm
just
gonna, I'm
attack.
gonna give it. I'm gonna give it the niche.
Your opponent can just reverse the most valuable card last, and then the rest is just kind of like meh.
Yeah, the other two don't matter. Yeah, so this is like a niche card, I guess.
Like, yeah, about that.
I mean, the ceiling is you use it as a counter for your 0/0 or your 1/1, and you save another card, and then that's cool, but.
Yes. Yeah. That's neat. I don't know about how good that really is, though.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Alright, Asteon. This is another cat, I think. It's a 2/0. 2/0 event, not a counter. If you don't have an Einhart, you can't play this from hand. Look up the 3 cards from the top of your deck and add 1 green character you find there, 1 green card, sorry, you find there to hand, and ditch the rest. Choose one of your characters. That character gains 2k till the end of your opponent's turn.
I mean, it's a 2/0 hand fix.
It's fine.
Dig for your climaxes.
But your climaxes are all gold bar?
Yeah, it also mills, which is important.
Yeah.
It replaces itself. Like, you can actually just, like, chain these into each other if you live the dream.
Is this the advanced GK loop?
Like... That's net neutral on cards. It doesn't cost you any cards, and you just like pump your team for 2k. Dude,
so you compress hard enough so your deck's really small, and you just
loop these.
And you keep pumping whatever your. Damn.
It sounds terrible. Let's not do this.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah. No, this is this is not good enough to play. I don't think it's way too marginal, and you can only play at level 2, which is like,
Would you say it's better if it were level 1?
It would probably be costed if it was level 1, which makes it worse.
Well, they could just add more fake conditions instead to keep it costless, right?
Oh, sure. I mean...
no. The thing is, it has just enough fake conditions to make it not costed. You just have to cut the power bump up to like 1. You cut the power to like 1k, or maybe your turn only. But I think it would be better if it was level 1.
It would be better if it was level 1, but
yes, simply because there's
you have a relevant climax to hunt for at level 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like unplayable. I just don't think there's room in the deck for it if you want, because what this is ultimately is you're digging towards a better card. Why don't you just play more of the better card?
What if you're playing for the better card already, man?
Then you have other ways to get the card that don't involve holding an event at level 2.
Yeah. Niche?
Niche is good. It might even be playable minus. Yeah, that's the end of green. We're gonna start cutting more cards out. I'm pretty sure. But yeah.
All right. We'll be back in a bit.